Hi everyone! Today I'll show you how to draw an radial scale with a moving arrow on this GC9A01 display, and after that I will show you how to create a gradient arc scale, which on my opinion looks pretty nice. So let's move to the coding. So before we start coding, let me explain how to draw an arrow on our radial scale. Let's say this square represents our display. The display itself is round, but its buffer has a square shape, so actually we work with a square. So let's also add y and x axes. So to draw an arrow, we need to know its angle and its length. N L N T. So let's say we want 45 degrees angle and length 80 pixels. So in other words, we need to determine the start position and the end position. So the start position is known. This is the center of our display. Actually, let's say we want to find out these coordinates. These coordinates we already know. This is the center of our display. In our case, it's 120 and 120 because the display has resolution 240 and x240. And let's say we want to draw the second point is to here. To do this, we need first to convert our angle to radian. To do this, we use this equation. So rad is equal 45 multiple on this. Now after we convert it to the radians, we can find out x2 and y2. So x2 is cosine rad and y2 is sine rad. So now our coordinates, our second point is somewhere here, but we need first to move it here to draw this. To do this, we add length of our arrow. In our case, it's 80 pixels, so plus 80 plus 80. No, not plus. Multiply 80. And now our dot is somewhere here. And to move this, we need to add the central point of our circle. So in other words, move it to somewhere here and yx to somewhere here. To do this, we just add 120 and 120. And now we can draw our arrow because we know the start position and the end position of line. And I hope you understand what I mean. And we have here 45 degrees. And now let's return to our project from the previous video and try to draw this arrow on our display. So this is a project from the previous video, and let's try to realize the algorithm in C. First, let's create variables length and angle. Length no, L is equal, I don't know, 45 degrees. Next, let's create variable. Let's convert this angle to radians. float red equal. And now let's calculate x2 and y2. x2 is equal cos radians ln and do the same thing with y2, but here we use sine function. And now let's try to draw our arrow. GC9A01, draw line black 120, 120, x2, y2, and 3. Let's also draw x and the x-axis to see if angle is correct. Black 120, 0, 120, 240, and thickness 1. So let's upload our code and see if everything works fine. So we just upload our code and let's see what is on the screen. So the arrow is drawn, but as you can see, the start coordinates are shifted by 180 degrees. To fix that, let's add this line to the code and try to upload our code again. So n will minus equal 180, and I think we should use just int. Okay, let's plot, and now the arrow is drawn correctly. Next, let's modify the function so that the arrow starting position is not fixed at 120 and 120, but instead it lies on the radius of the circle. Let me show you what I mean. Let's create variable r1 is equal, let's say 120, 12, and unsigned int 8. R2 is equal 50. Now length minus, no, not length, 120 minus R1, 120 minus R1, this is x1 and y1, and nets, and then do the same thing with x2 and y2. Here we use R2 and R2, yeah. And now let's draw the line again, but now use x1 and x2. So let's upload our code and see what happened. But I a little messed up here. Here we use y1. Now let's upload the code. And as you can see, there is a little space between the center of the circle and the arrow. Let's move on. Now let's convert the previous code to the function. I already did this, so we have function draw line around the circle. And let's try to move our arrow for this. First draw line around the circle and 153, and I want red line. Now let's draw line at angle -1 and with white color, and draw red line again, and plus. So why do we draw the line 3 times? So the first line is draws an arrow. The second line is erase the previous position of the arrow, and the third line redraws the arrow to fix any partially erased parts. So we draw the line, we clear previous line, and we fix any partially erased parts. I think you understand what I mean. So let's upload our code and see if our arrow is moving. And as you see, our arrow is moving, so the code works correctly. After our arrow is moving, let's try to add extra lines and draw numbers around the display to create a proper radial scale. I already prepared lines and other code and other numbers, just numbers, yeah. So let's draw them, but uncommented. And already if I drew the circle in the center just because I like it. So let's upload our code and see how our radial scale looks now. But before we upload our code, I forgot to comment these lines. 7, F8. And now we can see something that looks like a radial scale. Now let me show you how to use the same function to create this radial scale. Or I don't know what is this. Just a beautiful scale. So the design is not mine, I saw it in a video on YouTube on another author. The link on this video will be available in the description. So let's move to the coding. So let's modify the code from the previous part. So remove xy, x2 and y2. We will use just x and y. Let's also create variable unsigned int 8 radius is equal 25 and unsigned int was 8. Distance to the center. To the center is equal 95. Now we will use distance to the center, and here also distance to the center. And now let's call function GC9A01 fill circle fast. X, Y, radius, and color I want blue. No, let's first create variable. Unsigned int 16 color. And now let's make color blue. And color. So upload our code and see and look on the screen. Reset. And as you can see on the screen, it draw a circle on the 45 degrees. Yeah, 45 degrees from here. Now let's go back to our code and modify the function. Let's try to create an arc by using circles. For this, let me set angle is equal 0, and for a loop int 8 is equal 0, e not equal 180, and I plus plus. And plus plus, yeah, this should be work fine. Let's upload our code and look on the display. But before we upload it, we forgot to recalculate radians for this copy and paste. Now upload code and look on the display. Now, as you can see, it draws an arc from the blue circles. Now we need to make a gradient. And now how to make it look like a gradient? For this we will use color interpolation. To this we will need to know the RGB values of the start and end colors and the distance between them. It's very good explained in the video. I will leave a link in the description. So let's implement this in code. For this, first we create variable assigned int 8 RGB unsigned R start G start and blue start. Blue, let's say equal 1. No, we use just 16 bits, so max value for blue is 31. Green is equal 0, red is equal 0, and let's create end RGB. R and G and B and B end is 0 and R end is 31. By the way, G part uses 6 bits, so max value for green is 61. No, 63. And also let's create a little macros. I will just copy it later. Color is equal R shift 11 and G shift 5 or just blue. Yeah. Now let's go to our for loop. R is equal. Now let's first create flow at T is equal flow at I total 180 minus 1. In our case 180 it's a distance between start point and end point. R is equal 1 minus T multiply R start plus T R and yeah, R. And now let's do the same calculation with, but yeah, let's do the same calculation with green and blue part. And now let's compile these three parts in our color and compile the project. Now upload our code. Okay, upload it later. The code works fine. As the key is crashed, so let's compile our code, upload it, and look on the display. As you can see, it draws a gradient from blue to red, and this is how to make this scale. On the library I already create a function calls GC9A01 radial scale. It takes max value, minimum value and value and draws a scale here. So let's call them. Let's uncomment it, but first comment our old code. And also let's make background black. And uncomment this. Okay, maybe we forgot something. You forgot these semicolons. Upload. And on the display we can see our radial scale, but there is some bug. I don't know why. I'm not sure. Let's try to remove variables we created before and upload. Okay, now it works fine. I don't know what was the problem, but it draw scale properly. So thank you for watching the video, I hope you like it. Link to the library, to the project and to the other sources I will leave in the description. And if you have any problems or questions, write comments and I will try to help you. Thank you for the watching and goodbye.